Welcome to the Multichain Nation. Today we have Winston, founder of Stable. Welcome, Winston.
Thanks for having me, Rudy.
Yeah, it's exciting that you're here. I'm really excited to learn about Stable. It's doing a different take on stable coins, bringing real estate assets onto stable coins, and you can collect yield as a user. So tell us more, like what is Stable and how does it work?
Yeah, Stable is a lot of things, but we're really one thing, and we aim to be an incredibly boring, very simple project. One thing we noticed is sort of the formation of the idea of Stable is that a lot of assets were being tokenized, and then nothing was happening. So you're tokenizing, hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate, it just sits there. You're tokenizing stocks, they just sit there. You're tokenizing, many, many, many other things. A lot of experiments have been done, but mostly they just sit there. And so where was the problem? Number one thing that we sort of heard within the community was liquidity. And so what Stable is essentially the liquidity layer for RWAs, if you will, focused specifically to start on real estate. And what that means, real estate liquidity in the way that our society is currently structured, and we can get into other ideas down the line, that means mortgages. And so you can think of Stable very high level as a mortgage-backed stablecoin. And that means a variety of things to a variety of different people. At a retail residential level, what that means is that you have home equity, you can tap it, it can become essentially a yield-bearing asset, helps you pay off your first mortgage. At an institutional level, that means you can take a mortgage-backed security, swap it in, get a more fungible, more liquid asset, deploy that into various protocols and earn higher yield.
I love how you said that you're boring because when I was in college, like my professor was telling me how boring businesses are the best
Thank you.
because they just do what they're supposed to do it well. They keep increasing revenue, increasing their business year by year, not getting a lot of attention in a negative way, but just doing what they do best, do that one simple thing right, and keep growing.
Yeah, our goal really is to be like a sort of composable layer that people build things on top of, and then people eventually just talk about the things built on top of us. Almost, in a way similar to Axelar.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I wanted to get into next. So I'm gonna guess, but the cross chain communication, working with different blockchains. So how do you plan on using Axelar? How are you implementing with them?
Yeah, for us, cross-chain payments is a huge thing. So, like I said, the actual stablecoin itself is backed by debt assets. Um, those can be conglomerates of debt assets. They can be little boxes of debt assets. They can be individual debt assets. It's a CDP. For people who are not familiar with that, it's essentially a collateralized debt position. Pioneers in this space think MakerDAO. Past that, you have sort of the yield strategy of it. Pioneers in this space think Athena, and so you sort of combine Athena and MakerDAO. That puts us into a box if you need us in a box. Um, and so the thing is, these debts have payments. It's not like a traditional crypto payment or a borrow where it's all due at the very end. These are monthly recurring payments, yearly recurring, quarterly recurring, based on the structure of the assets. And those payments have to be able to come from anywhere in a variety of different tokens which are accepted. And so, first and foremost, what we do is actually the collection and payments of the underlying debts. We can do that cross chain through Axelar. Past that, the stablecoin does bridge to other chains through Axelar as well. Um, but I think the payments part is very cool because what it allows you to do is essentially you have the asset on the base chain. Let's say it's Ethereum. You see an opportunity to earn a higher yield on Polygon, and that's where your base strategy lives on Arbitrum. Let's say you can essentially bridge over to Polygon, start earning the yield, send your payments through Arbitrum, and you don't have to think about it. It's all just sort of instantaneous, thoughtless. Um, you just have to make sure that your payments come in. Otherwise, bad things happen in real estate.
Yeah.
But it creates a lot of interesting opportunities, especially as we see banks and other institutions come on chain. That they can live in their own environment. They can live in decentralized, shared environments without worrying about what the environment is.
So can you walk me through more of a normal person who has real estate, maybe a landlord with multiple properties? Why would they go to Stable?
Yeah, great question. So let's say we can give real examples. Let's just go with a real example. Let's say some real estate agent or some other landlord had their properties that were building up a portfolio. Let's say over the last 10, 15 years, right before COVID, right during COVID, or right after COVID, they decided to buy three new properties. Those three new properties, let's say they were, for argument's sake, $500,000 each. On average, those properties are now going to be worth about $750,000 to $800,000. So that excess equity that they've built up over the past years is just sitting there. They've built up a significant amount of that equity in a very short period of time. In fact, on average, right now, the average U.S. homeowner has about $300,000 of home equity that's sitting there completely dormant, doing nothing. And so they can essentially bring that to stable, tap it in, turn it into liquid, and deploy it into very basic, simple yield earning strategies. I'm a big fan of lending against Bitcoin. I think it's an incredibly safe, well-tested case. Providing it to simple liquidity pools is also a great idea. You can get as complicated and creative as you want past that. We don't really set barriers on that, but again, our goal is to be boring and easy. And so that's sort of the base case for them. And you may think that, earning a 2 or 3% doesn't sound very attractive, but that actually pays off their mortgages about 10 years early. And so they're saving, hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest payments per house in that example I just gave. So you're talking about, $500,000 plus in savings, plus time they're saving 10 years, which, I don't know how long most people plan to live, but to me, 10 years is a nice amount of time to save.
Yeah, for sure. Because I plan to live at least 10 more years.
At
But
least 10 more years.
at least 10 more.
So yeah,
30, 40 would be nice.
right. And so we essentially give that back to you. We package it up and, just hand it right back to you. There's a great analogy from this. You can, don't take my word for what the impact of this is. You can look up Yahoo Finance. There's also, it's a very old, well-known thing. You make one extra mortgage payment per year. You pay off your mortgage 10 years early. Stable essentially makes that automatic. So you don't have to think about it. It's thoughtless. It's easy. And right now, odds are if you bought your house before 2024, we can do that for you thoughtlessly. And so that's sort of the retail sort of side of it.
So I think now people are like, all right, but how do I get it on chain? So
Yeah.
I have a house, I have a mortgage with the bank, $500,000. House went up to be valued at 750.
Mhm.
Who do I talk to get that $250,000? How does that happen?
Yeah. This is a revealing part. The idea is right now you're sort of talking to us directly. It's sort of a small one-off sort of thing. Where it's headed, and I hope this isn't too much alpha. When is this going to air?
Couple weeks.
Okay, cool.
Whenever you want.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea is that you would actually go and talk to your bank directly. And so we'll be working with various banks, various brokers, and they'll be offering this through products that they offer. And then the idea is that you essentially go to them and it's just a seamless, frictionless product. Between now and getting there is a lot of manual steps. I'm hopeful that we can resolve those manual steps in, a couple of years, but it may take longer than that. And so the idea is that actually we're not directly interfacing with you. You have a variety of people to directly interface with, and we're sort of the back end for them. And so that's where it's headed. In the short time, you're coming to us directly.
So now that I have my 250K
Mm-hmm.
in stable, say in a USDC or something, what are my options after that? Can I just do whatever I want with it? Does it have to live in stable and I have to get yield on it?
Yeah. You could do anything you want with it. Again, I'm not going to encourage you to do anything you want with it. I'm not going to advise you on what to do with it,
We're
actually.
not financial advisors.
I'm not a financial advisor. It'd be great if your financial advisor would tell you what to do with it. Hint, hint, wink, wink, if anyone wants to partner with us on that and you are a financial advisor, fantastic opportunity for you. But yeah, and so the idea is that you actually get it in our stablecoin, which is USDX. And then you could swap that forever, however you want. But the baseline idea is that if you just held it, you're not making any payments, you're not responsible for anything. There's sort of no interest either way, and it's just sitting there. And so it creates an interesting opportunity where you can just sort of hold it and wait for the right opportunity to come along. Um, Again, what I would say is put it into something very low risk, put it into Bitcoin backed loans, something like that, put it into Aave, very basic things. Earn your 2 to 3% and be very happy with that, and then just play the long game. Um, but yeah, if you wanted to somehow swap it into, let's say you swapped it into Hyperliquid's new stablecoin and you took out 100x perp, you could totally do that. There will be consequences, unfortunately, just due to how the legal contracts are structured. But that's pretty outlined in various existing laws.
Yep. I love that you keep going back to keeping it simple, stable,
Yeah,
hint stable, and making it easy for users to really just make the most out of their money that's just sitting there. Because one advice too is don't keep too much money in a checking account. Put it something in like a savings account that has a 4% interest. Just a little bit compounds and goes a long way.
yeah.
And that sounds boring. I'm like, oh, where can I put my money? Should I put it in some stock or some crypto? Or that's like, you can just put it in a savings account. It does better for you than just doing nothing in a
Right.
checkings account.
That gets into, if you think about how institutions look at us. They have these things called mortgage-backed securities, which you can think of just instead of it's one mortgage, it's a bundle of 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever it is, and then there's various insurances on that. They can swap those into us, take that stablecoin that they get back out, put it into a very basic yield strategy, earn 25 basis points net, and they're incredibly happy. And so, like, it's not a super complicated play. Obviously, you can take directional risk if you so choose. But I think really keeping it simple, the compounding returns there are just really very impactful.
Yeah.
And hopefully that gets passed on as much as possible to the like individual homeowners. Like that's the dream of it. And there's actually $35 trillion untapped in that market right now. And so it's also, not only is it the dream, but it's also the biggest opportunity. Um, a lot of hoops to jump through to get there. But
Yeah, that's how
at
it
the end of
usually
the,
is.
yeah, at the end of the day, it is just hoops that are jumping through, and we have a very crypto positive administration right now, and there's a lot of things being passed. And you could do this to a degree without crypto, but what blockchain enables us to do, and the autonomy of it, and the 24/7 markets, and the decentralized nature of it, I think really just takes us to the next level. And I think over the next several years, we're going to see legislation catch up with that.
Yeah, and someone's got to do it. So I'm happy that you're passionate about this and you're really going forward with it in all the right steps. Now, when you were thinking about, okay, I'm building this you building a stable coin, USDX,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about how to bring it across all these different chains, how did Axelar pop up into your mind?
Programming and marketing, probably.
Just did a program?
Just no, just being honest. Yeah, I mean, Axel is very technical, and I see Sergey. He does a lot of technical talks, technical presentations. I have a technical background, and so those appeal to me. And when somebody says, we're the technically correct way to do it, it catches my attention. And so really diving into it from that standpoint and understanding how Axelar works, how it works, and the sort of decentralized nature of it, the Cosmos ecosystem background. It sort of has all of the right principles, if you will, to be, this is probably not cool to say anymore, but Ethereum aligned. And like
Ethereum's great.
yeah, and the core principle of what that spirit really means, not necessarily with or without Ethereum, but like the core principle of like the decentralized nature. And I think that's very important for us to not only unlock cross-border opportunities, but really give people like the autonomy to use their money however they want at a moment's notice, without restrictions. And like that's something that I think Axelar does a great job of enabling, and so that's where it came up in the conversation.
Now, even though it's very technical, how was the implementation experience like as a technical person? So if anyone's listening to this interested in building on top of Axelar, how could you give them some positive words of encouragement?
Yeah, the docs can be a bit daunting and a bit hard to find, but I mean, really, from like a technical standpoint, it's like 2 lines of code, and so and so it's
That's awesome.
yeah, it's quite simple. Throw it into your favorite, uh, AI editor. They're all very familiar with Axelar. Obviously, Axelar has a name brand, it has name power. It's something that most editors have seen before, and so I think implementing it into just about anything you want is pretty simple. There are so many different things that you can do with Axelar that it does make approaching it a bit challenging. And so for me, a great way to look back at it and sort of understand, okay, well, we have a scope of opportunities and what we call this thing cross chain. Let's just list them all out. And so using AI actually to sort of look and review your code and understand where are all the opportunities where I could implement Axelar, and just having that list, that's a great place to start. And then from there, you just step process your way through it. But for me personally, like understanding these are all the different directions we could take it. These are the ones that we want to go forward with, and starting there made it incredibly easy.
Nice. So, what is Stable's current status now, and what do we have to look forward to in the future?
Yeah, pre-audits. So we're headed to audits incredibly soon. We just released our testnet application with a new one, actually. So there's going to be a few new features shipped to that quite soon, as well as constant website updates. I'd say you should expect a new feature or look from us just about every week for the rest of the year. And
Wow,
so yeah, you
that's a
should see,
lot.
well, you should see our content. Our content calendar starts in October. We'll obviously have some things coming out in the next couple of weeks. Some related to Axar, some related to some other things. And so those will include blog posts, Twitter posts, standard marketing stuff. But I would say, if you're not in our Telegram group, hop into our Telegram group. There'll probably be, I'm realizing we didn't write the content for that, but starting in October, we actually have currently 12 weeks of content planned out. And so each of those weeks has a new feature release, a new website update. It's going to be ship heaven for us. And so, I would expect that. And then sometime in the very near future, you should expect the mainnet release. There'll be points programs and other associated fun. And so, I would expect that as well from us. And yeah, I would say open our website every Monday and see what's new.
I'm gonna be looking every Monday.
Yeah, I'm a shipper on Friday. I ship Fridays. So most people,
Fridays on
oh,
the weekend.
don't ship on Friday. It's the
Yeah.
weekend. And it's like, look, we ship on Friday at 5 p.m. I don't care. Um, if we stay there till Sunday morning, we stay till Sunday morning. The thing gets done on a weekly basis. We're not big on hesitation over here, and so we're trying to take this traditional market, which is this established mortgage market and this established real estate market, which is massive, and we're trying to improve that. And so it's like if you want to, you have to force it into reality. And so if we're going to bring this thing into 24/7, we have to work our ass off 24/7. It is what it is. That's what we signed up for.
And that's crypto anyways. Like
Yeah,
it is
it's not like
24/7. There is no Monday through Friday.
right. And
Yeah.
so, it's if we're going to be hanging around these degenerates anyways, we might as well join them. And so I think it creates a really good opportunity. I think crypto is probably the only place where a technology push like we're trying to bring can happen. Because could you do this in the AI space? Maybe. Could you do this in the TradFi space, like the fintech space, if you will? I don't think so. There has to be that constant demand for 24/7. I think we saw that really recently with the NASDAQ filing. I think we're going to see that with a lot more filings coming out where people are caught over there. We're going to this 24/5 market. From there, it'll be a 24/7 market. And the 24/7 market doesn't sleep. And I think crypto natives and crypto native, approaches have a huge opportunity to take its slight edge and apply it to traditional opportunities and win very big.
That's a nature of the global economy. Like someone's awake always in the
Always,
world.
always.
See, just because New York's closed doesn't mean somebody doesn't want to trade in the Nasdaq or something.
Exactly.
And everyone has a property somewhere, maybe. So that'd be nice, or wants to get property.
Yeah, and I think also to just the exposure to the economic opportunity right now. If you want to be an LP to mortgage markets, I mean, you're talking tens to hundreds to billions of dollars. Um, Come to us, you do it for a penny, right? And so I think just that ability to have that opportunity is I'm very excited to see what people make of that, and I hope that we can deliver it in a way that's scalable, flawlessly, seamlessly 24/7, 365. Again, that's our goal. Is our goal is to be simple, composable, easy, and Axelar is an obvious choice when we're trying to do that cross chain.
Thank you, Winston. Where can everyone find Stable?
Stable tweets on Twitter. For now, there is a rebranding and discussion.
Ooh,
That's I'm not going to reveal, but it's completely different. And so yeah, it's stable underscore tweets on Twitter right now. I believe we have stable underscore finance on Instagram, stable dash inc on Medium, stable dash finance on GitHub.
oh my,
Search stable tweets, and then for some reason, if anybody else pops up, block them. That'll help the algorithm get it right.
thank you so much, Winston. I'm excited for Stable, and I'm glad that you're working in a different segment that's not what you've been hearing on the media all day, which is like AI and fintech this, NFTs that. It's just like, keep it back to traditional, safe investments. It's boring, but it gets you wealthy. Real estate.
Yeah, well, I think it's we can help everybody get 3% better, and
Yeah,
that's
be a great world.
yeah, it'd be a phenomenal world. And I mean, when you talk about like the economic opportunity and just like the power right now, it's I mean, we've been compressing, and it's time for that to decentralize. And so I think we're a good opportunity for that to happen. And I guess last note here, like the banks are actually quite open to it. They see crypto as a private market that they have no idea how to get into. And so, like, if you're thinking about building something that crosses, crypto and big industry Z, go for it. Like, now is the time. I think you have about 3 years, and it's just like gas it, gas it, gas it. Um, and I guess a good idea is, if you want to go cross chain, build on Axelar.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.